I was the one who told her to help him. Shook his hand at that parent-teacher conference and thought I was being a good guy. Never imagined that handshake was me handing over my entire life to a kid who'd be inside my wife 4 weeks later. We'd been married 6 years when it happened. Katerina. She was this incredible English teacher, you know? The kind students actually loved. Parents requested her specifically. She'd come home with these stories about kids finally understanding Shakespeare or writing their first real essay, and her face would just light up in this way that made me fall in love with her all over again. Me? I worked night shifts in IT security. Boring stuff, monitoring systems, fixing server issues at 3 in the morning. The money was decent, but the hours were new. They were killing us slowly, you know? I'd get home at 7. She'd be leaving for school at 7:15. We'd have maybe 10 minutes together, both of us exhausted. Weekends were better, but even those felt like we were just two people living in the same house, not really living together. That guilt ate at me every single night. While I was staring at computer screens in an empty office, she was home alone, grading papers, watching Netflix by herself, going to bed in an empty house. So one night in October, I get home and she's at the kitchen table, red pen in hand, stack of essays in front of her that looks like it could reach the ceiling. She's rubbing her eyes, looks exhausted. And I just wanted to help somehow. Hey, I said, you ever think about doing private tutoring for extra money? She looked up at me, and there was this pause, this tiny hesitation where her pen stopped moving, and she just stared at me with this expression I couldn't read. 3 seconds, maybe. 4. I don't know, she finally said. I'm already pretty busy. But I pushed. That's the thing that destroys me now, Ostak. I pushed. Come on, we could use the extra cash. And you're so good at what you do. There's got to be kids who need help, right? You could do it here at the house, in the dining room. I'm not home most evenings anyway, so yeah, she said quietly. Yeah, maybe you're right. If I just shut my mouth that one time. 3 weeks later, she mentioned she'd agreed to tutor a student. Struggling with English Lit, needed to pull his grades up for college applications. His name was Marcus. Just Marcus. Nothing more than that. His mom's a single parent, she told me. She's really worried about him. I said I'd help. Of course she did. That was Katerina. Heart too big for her own good. Or maybe meta. Maybe that's just what I told myself. The first session happened on a Tuesday. I'd switched shifts with a coworker specifically to be home, to meet this kid, to feel like I was part of this new thing we were doing. He showed up at 6, tall kid, really tall, like 6'2" maybe, quiet. Gave me this firm handshake, looked me in the eye, said, "Thank you for having me in your home, sir." Polite? I remember thinking his mom raised him right. I made them tea, actual tea with the good cups, not the mugs we used every day. I brought it to the dining room where they had books spread out everywhere, and Katerina was already explaining something about symbolism in The Great Gatsby, and they both looked up and smiled at me like Ostak. Like I was the helpful husband doing helpful husband things. I even joked, "Don't let her work you too hard," and he laughed. I went upstairs to give them space, put on headphones, played video games for 2 hours while my wife tutored a student in my dining room with the tea I made them. Some kind of idiot is what I was. After that first session, the arrangement continued. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 to 8. But I was back on night shifts, so I wasn't home for the rest of them. She'd text me updates. Session going well? He's really improving. Might run a bit late. He has lots of questions. Then small things started changing. She started dressing differently on tutoring days, not like, Croach, Not obviously provocative or anything, but nicer. Makeup when she usually didn't wear makeup at home. A specific pair of jeans that I always said looked good on her. This perfume I'd bought her for her birthday that she'd worn maybe twice before. Just want to look professional, she said when I mentioned it. Made sense. I nodded, kissed her forehead, went to work. Her phone started living face down on the counter. Before it was always just there. Screen up. She'd check it in front of me, show me funny memes, read me texts from her teacher friends. Now it was always face down. And when it buzzed, she'd glance at it, smile at something, then put it back down without saying anything. I had this thing I did, this stupid thing where I'd watch her face when she read messages. Her expression changed, got softer, younger somehow. She'd bite her lower lip slightly, something she used to do when we were first dating and I'd text her something sweet. But I told myself I was being paranoid, jealous for no reason. The sessions got longer, 3 hours, 4 hours. I'd get home at 7 in the morning and find energy drink cans in the recycling. Ostak. Monster. The green ones. Katerina never drank energy drinks, hated them. Oh, Marcus brings those, she explained. He's always tired after his part-time job, needs the caffeine to focus. Right. Made sense. How's his grades? I asked once. Is it working? She got defensive. Voice sharp. These things take time. You can't expect instant results. Progress reports came out in November. I saw it on the fridge, held up with a magnet from our honeymoon in Greece. His English grade, C-, same as it had been when the tutoring started 6 weeks earlier. I didn't say anything. Neither did she. Then the neighbor mentioned something. Old Mrs. Chen from next door, the one who's lived there 30 years and knows everyone's business. I was getting the mail on a Saturday, and she walked over with her little terrier. Your wife's nephew is very tall, she said pleasantly. I see him visiting quite often. I smiled confused. Katerina doesn't have a nephew. Her face changed. Oh, well, there's a tall young man who comes by several afternoons a week. I just assumed. My stomach dropped. Mida just dropped straight through the ground. I went inside, checked the calendar on the fridge where Katerina wrote her schedule. Tutoring sessions, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 to 8. Mrs. Chen had said afternoons, several times a week. I stood there holding a gas bill and a grocery store coupon flyer, staring at that calendar, and my hands started shaking. That Monday, I told my supervisor I needed to leave at noon. Made up something about a dentist appointment. I drove home with both hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Part of me wanted to be wrong. So bad. Wanted to pull up to an empty house. Laugh at myself for being paranoid. Maybe bring home flowers and apologize to Katerina for doubting her in my mind. But part of me already knew. I parked down the street, walked to the corner where I could see our driveway. Beat up Honda Civic. Gray. That was his car. Parked in my driveway at 1:15 on a Monday afternoon. I sat down on the curb. Ostak. Just sat there breathing. In and out. In and out. Trying to decide what to do. 20 minutes I sat there. 20 minutes watching my own house like it was a crime scene. Then I stood up. Walked to my front door. Quiet. My hand was shaking so bad I could barely get the key in the lock. I was going to burst in, confront them. That's what I planned. But that's not what I did. I stood at my own door, and I listened first. What I heard, knew. It was the after. Her voice, soft and dreamy, and more alive than I'd heard it in years. She was reading poetry. I recognized it immediately because it was our poem. Mida. From our wedding. E. Cummings. I carry your heart with me. But she was reading it to him. Then her voice again. He doesn't understand me like you do. He stopped seeing me years ago. He Me. I was he now. Then her. No, it's different with you. You make me feel like I'm 25 again. Like I'm someone worth wanting. My chest felt like someone had reached in and squeezed my heart with a fist. And Ostak. I turned around, walked back to my car, drove to work, clocked in, sat at my desk for 9 hours staring at computer screens and seeing nothing. I told no one I'd been home. For a full week, I pretended. Came home every morning, kissed her hello, asked about her day, ate the dinners she cooked, slept next to her in our bed. Every time she lied? Every single time. I'd nod and smile and die a little more inside. Friday came. She cooked my favorite, chicken paprikash. The recipe from her grandmother. I could taste the guilt in every bite. Mda? Guilt has a flavor, turns out. We ate in silence. Fork sounds on plates. Clock ticking in the living room. How's the tutoring going? I finally asked. Her face froze for half a second. Fine. Yeah, he's really improving. That's good, I said. That's really good. Pause. Because I came home last Tuesday around 1:30. The fork fell from her hand. Ostak. Clattered on the plate with this sound that I can still hear perfectly in my head when I close my eyes. She didn't move. I didn't move. Why didn't you? She started. I don't know, I said. And I really didn't. Then she told me everything. Not because I asked, because it was spilling out of her like she'd been holding it in too long, and it was poisoning her. 4 months. Started at school in her classroom during lunch periods when no one else was around. Then after school. Then at our house on days I worked. Then things I can't say out loud without my hands shaking. She said things I can't repeat about what it felt like. The word she used was alive. Said he made her feel alive. Like I'd been killing her slowly our entire marriage and she'd finally found oxygen. She moved out that weekend, stayed with her sister in the city. The school found out somehow. I never told them. I swear I didn't. They started an investigation. Katerina resigned before they finished it. No dramatic confrontation, no violence, no movie moment, just paperwork. Divorce took 8 months. She teaches now at a different school, 3 towns over. I still live in the same house. Couldn't afford to move, couldn't afford to stay, but staying was easier than packing up 6 years of a life that turned out to be mostly lies. I threw out the dining room table, couldn't look at it anymore. Mamda, couldn't eat there. Couldn't walk past it without seeing them together. 6 months after the divorce finalized, she sent me a letter. Actual handwritten letter. My address in her handwriting that I used to love seeing on birthday cards and grocery lists. It's in my glove compartment right now, unopened. Has been for 4 months. You know what keeps me up at night? Not the betrayal. Not even hearing her say she loved him through my own front door. It's that pause. That kitchen table pause when I suggested the tutoring. She hesitated. Ostak. She actually hesitated. And I pushed her, insisted, made it happen. Sometimes I think she was trying to protect me in that moment, trying to say no without saying no, and I just wouldn't let her. I handed her to him. Croce. Gift-wrapped my entire life and handed it to someone whose name I can't say out loud anymore. That handshake. Making them tea. Being the supportive husband. I was the architect of my own destruction, and I didn't even know I was building anything until it collapsed on top of me. The letter's still in my car. Engine's running. I'm parked outside my empty house. One day, maybe